Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly review. This is Mr. Malbrue, and we're going to be going over the movie news that I found to be interesting last week. These were the three topics that I picked to talk about. We will be doing this in a live format once we get a new setup, but right now we are still doing everything recorded on Sundays and released on Monday or Tuesday after the news for the last week has wrapped. We're also going to talk Saints at the end of this, so stick around if you're here for that, or you can use the chapters in the description, jump around, but let's get to it. We're going to start off with the new movie that was announced going into production by Bob Odenkirk. It is called Normal, and I feel like Bob Odenkirk is getting typecast in a way. So if you read the description, it kind of gives you a hint as to what I mean. It reads, the Western film follows a temporary sheriff who discovers a deep criminal conspiracy at the heart of his town and realizes that everyone is in on it. That sounds very much like Nobody 2. To me, I feel like Bob Odenkirk is going into those roles after seeing Nobody, which came out a few years back. Then I just recently watched Nobody 2, didn't even do a review video on it. It was a cool little film. It was fun, but it holds a lot of similarities to Nobody, the first one. And this one sounds like an extension of that Nobody style of film where you have a guy who is unassuming, but rises to the occasion and fights off a large amount of bad guys. And to me, it just seems like it's the same thing over and over from him. But I could be wrong because the Western setting could make this a period piece and really take it out of its normal element when it comes to the Nobody films that he's done as of late. Again, not sure how Western is going to be, but just judging by this image, I don't even know if this image is from that movie or from something else. I just think that there's a chance that he could be put in the same type of movies that he's done for his last two headlining films. So those are the things that's on my mind in relation to that. I thought it was interesting that, I just had watched Nobody 2 on home video and then seeing this announcement. It's like, yo, it's the same thing over and over. But those are my thoughts on it. Let me know if you have any thoughts about Bob Odenkirk and this Normal film that's coming out soon. Another piece of news that has me very intrigued and something I kind of want to talk a good bit about is Zach Krieger is announced that he's working on an Aunt Gladys film. Now, for me, that's a big deal because I just recently worked up the nerve to watch Weapons at home, and I really enjoyed Weapons. I think it's going to be in my top 10 films of the year if I do a list. But after coming out of that film, if there's anything that I want to know more about, it has to be the Aunt Gladys character. I want to know, where did she learn how to do the things that she did? How is she connected to this family, if at all? And what was the goal that she was hoping to achieve? Because it doesn't seem like that there was a goal for that character if you watch that movie. It's just like, oh, I'm enjoying myself doing what I'm doing, and I'm just going to continue to enjoy myself. What was the real backstory to that character? Like, was she really ill at all, or she just looks that way? Like, I really want to know a lot about her. And if we get a film based on her, I'm guessing that'll answer some of those questions. So I'm excited about seeing that come into production. Very, very intriguing. If you have any thoughts on it, if you have any questions about it, please drop them in the comment section. If you have any insight about those characters and about the backstory as to where they could go, or maybe you saw some featurettes that I didn't see, some behind the scenes stuff that I don't know about, please let me know those things in the comment section and we'll move right along. The biggest thing to discuss, and really it's something that I like because of the connection to the Spider-Man PS5, is Marvin Jones III. He's a rapper, but I know him as an actor. He's the guy who played Tobias Well in Black Lightning, did a phenomenal job in that show. He was one of my favorite parts of the show because his racism was on a whole nother level. It was crazy. But he has been cast as Tombstone in the upcoming Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, one of the things about that really struck me as soon as I heard that news, it was just that, how does he fit into that character? And then we got this image thrown online, in one of the different announcements. And my thought was instantly like, oh, that makes perfect sense now. I had forgotten all about the version of Tombstone that we had on the PS5 version of Spider-Man. He's a different take on the character. He has the stature of Tombstone from the comics. I'm talking about the PS5 version. He has the similar stature, but the backstory is very different. He's not a mobster style gangster. He's more of a street gang type of guy. It just makes more sense, seeing that version of him and then seeing him next to the guy who played Tobias Well, Marvin Jones III. It all meshes so well after seeing how everything played out with that PS5 version of Spider-Man, especially the redemption arc that they gave him. I would love to see Marvin Jones play a redeemable character, because in the things that I've seen him in, I've never seen him be redeemable. I've never seen him be likable. I would like to see him be a more sympathetic version of the Tombstone character. For those that may not be familiar enough with the channel, I am a comic book guy. I do have access to at least 1,000 different comics from way, way, way back in the days. And I remember reading Tombstone comics. My thing about his involvement, the Tombstone character being involved in this new Spider-Man Brand New Day, is he going to have that classic connection to the Robbie Robertson character in the Spider-Man world as well? We haven't heard anything about that character being cast yet, so it makes me think they may be going with a different backstory or a different connection to the Daily Bugle and Spider-Man and all that stuff. But I want to know, are we getting a version of Robbie? It's funny because in recent, just online things that circulate, people have been referring back to the fact that the Black people in the world of these superhero movies tend to know the identity of the main characters, and they just never say anything. And Robbie in the old Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, he knew that like Peter Parker Spider-Man, obviously it was obvious to him, but he just never said anything. And that's been circulating in different memes and stuff online. And so I'm hoping that we get a street smart, younger, different version of Robbie in the upcoming Spider-Man Brand New Day, but there's been no announcements yet. And it just makes me think that they may not do that connection. As I think about it, I don't remember Robbie being connected to Tombstone in the Spider-Man PS5 games, the first or the second or the Miles Morales version of that game. And so I don't know. I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but I'm interested. I'm hoping that if they do, we get a cool casting announcement from that Robbie character or whoever's playing that character as well. But yeah, I think this is a cool thing to do, given the version of Tombstone that we're going to get. I'm more familiar with the mobster, gangster Tombstone with the little flat buzz cut. But this version is cool too, done really well on PS5. Hopefully they can make that carry over to film. That's it for the movie news and the wrap up. We're going to move right along into the Saints weekly review. The Saints lose again. We are down to 0-4. We went down to the Buffalo Bills 31-19. That final score is actually not indicative of how close the game was, though. So if you watch the game, this game was a game until the fourth quarter, when things kind of started to unravel for the Saints. Too many mental errors, too many mistakes, too many plays that don't get made, fourth down conversions. I'm thinking of one in particular with Alvin Kamara, just couldn't make that fourth down conversion. And getting yourself into some bad situations with penalties. I'm thinking of the roughing the kicker. Once they had forced the 3-and-out, they punt the ball and you run into the kicker. It was Nephi Sewell. And so it's like, I liked this game much better than the Seattle game. And I said it in the first 2 weeks. Couldn't say it after the Seattle game, but I can say it here. This is what you want to see from this team. A team that fights and can hang with teams that are of higher caliber. I want to take a moment. Saints Block Party Podcast. That's where you want to go if you want to find more in-depth Saints coverage. People who actually watch the All 22. People who actually have sources connected to the franchise that do real reporting on the franchise. But for me and mine, I'm actually quite happy with what I saw this week. 189 yards on the ground. Listen, I am not the normal, typical football fan. I love to see some running the football. I formation. Run the ball. It looked great against Buffalo. I'm sure it won't always look that great against every opponent you face, but when you see it working, I love that Kellen stuck with the ground game when he saw it was working, because running the football is a weapon. We see it every week with the Detroit Lions. We see it every week with the Baltimore Ravens. When it's successful, you can run the ball and you can do that to attack the other team. You can also use that as a way to prop up your defense. We saw it with the Dallas Cowboys for years when they didn't have great defenses, a great pass rush or a strong secondary. What do? You possess the football and you run that thing and you keep that other explosive offense on the sidelines. And I was glad to see it unfold the way it unfolded, even though we lost the game. I do want to take a moment to talk about Spencer Rattler. And so I'm a Rattler fan. I think that he is capable of being a starting quarterback in this league. I don't think he's 100% there yet. The one thing that I want to see improve, because I'm of the mindset of give a person 16 games, a sample size where you could see what this person actually has. And if that's the case for Rattler, he is now 0-10. I don't think he gets 6 more games this season. If he did, that would have us not looking at Tyler Shuck until week 11, week 10 or 11, depending on how you add the numbers. I don't see him getting that long, Rattler getting that long of a leash. But I do think in the next 2 weeks, I want to see, and as a fan, I want to see, but I think the team would also want to see improvement on the patterns that everyone has noticed. One thing that I've noticed that I think everyone has noticed is that the inaccuracies when there are wide open players. We had 2 touchdown passes that were behind the receivers when they were coming out the breaks. I would like to see that corrected. I would like to see you not miss on that 2 weeks in a row, because you have missed on it 4 straight weeks. I want to say every week there was a throw that was behind and it was like a wide open receiver. Otherwise, he's not really making a ton of mistakes. He's playing really smart football, risk averse football, which is not necessarily the best. Sometimes you got to risk it. But he's not really risking it, and he hasn't really turned the ball over a whole bunch. He has gotten very lucky with when it comes to interceptions that get called back due to penalty, or like jump balls. There was one this week that could have clearly been a pick, but Juwan came down and tie goes to the receiver. But it really looked like the defender had just as much possession of that ball as Juwan did. And so those inaccuracies, I feel like, need to get cleaned up. And if they get cleaned up consistently moving forward, he can be a starter in the league. But I also feel like he probably got like 2 more weeks before they try to say, hey, let's look at Shuck and see what Shuck has. And I think that's fair. You get 6 games. You had, 9 games last year, even though it was a banged up team and you depleted and everything else. At some point, we got to see what this rookie has, because that draft is approaching and we're going to be picking high. And we need to know what we have in both of these quarterbacks with healthy rosters and a full arsenal of weapons when it comes to them being on the field and assessing them correctly. And so those are my thoughts on the Saints and their loss and where they need to go moving forward. You know, I'm happy with these types of losses. I can't take too many of those Seattle type losses. It's not what you want to see. That's all we have for this one, y'all. The week has been wrapped. Hopefully people keep coming back and watching these, and we're going to keep doing them and come back when they're live on Sunday nights. And that's all we got for this one, y'all. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.